Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you clicked on my very first video on this channel. I've named this channel Houseplant Heaven or Hell. Why this name for my channel, you might ask? Well, the reason is quite simple. Taking care of houseplants most of the time is such a rewarding thing. When your plants do well, you see them growing, you see them thriving, and you know that they are in plant heaven, which means that you are also in plant heaven too. On the other side, sometimes due to pests, bad growing conditions, or improper care, some plants end up in plant hell, and you will have to try and do a hell of a job to get them out of that hell. Now, as a sneak preview to this channel, I want to briefly talk about a plant that you see in front of you. Now, I bought this plant in December 2021, so it's been under my care for a bit longer than 1 year now. I paid 24 euros for it, and I bought it online from a Dutch web shop that labeled this plant Philodendron sp. Peru. Now, I think it's actually a Monstera and not a Philodendron, mostly because of the way that the leaves appear on this plant. They don't have this typical protective shield that a Philodendron leaf comes out with. At the same time, I must say that I'm not sure that it's the Monstera sp. Peru that is featured in a lot of other videos that I see here on YouTube. First of all the leaves, which means also the new leaves that this plant has grown since I bought it, are actually very small and they stay very small. Whereas the Monstera sp. Peru featured in many other YouTube videos have way bigger leaves. Secondly, the texture of the leaves is very different. This plant has leaves that have almost no texture and a very subtle pattern that you only notice when you look at the plant very closely. The Monstera sp. Peru that I see on other YouTube videos have a very pronounced texture and patterns that you can feel and see quite easily. Now, you might say this is because mine is a young plant, although this plant is over a year old and the new leaves have come out the same as the old ones and stay very small. Or you might say it's because it's in a very small pot. But my impression is that this plant is just fine in this very small pot and it's absolutely not root bound at the moment. Finally, some people may say it's because it's not growing on a moss pole, as you can see, but it's just trailing. Now, this is true, but the thing is, this plant seems to be perfectly happy just trailing. And most importantly, it is not sprouting these very long runners without leaves that you often see with Monsteras that are not on a moss pole. They put out these very long runners searching for something to attach to. So I'm just wondering whether this small, compact Monstera isn't a different plant from the Monsteras that you see labeled on YouTube as Monstera sp. Peru. Feel free to comment below what you think what this plant might be and whether you agree or not with what I just said. Now, why do I think that this makes for a great houseplant? 3 reasons. First of all, it stays very compact, which I think is great when you live in an apartment like I do, and space is a very precious commodity for plants. Second reason, this plant just thrives under artificial light. I have it under a grow light all the time and it just loves it. Which is a great plus when you live in a country like Belgium, like I do, where sunny weather is not readily available, to say the least. The third and final reason why I think this makes for a great houseplant is that it's just so easy to propagate in water. I will put aside the mother plant just for a moment so I can show you some of the cuttings that I've taken from this mother plant over the last year. Now, this here is the first cutting. It's the most recent cutting that I've done. As you can see, it's in perlite and it's just perfectly happy. And I'm sure that it will start growing over the next couple of days or weeks. The second example that I'll show you is actually a bunch of cuttings. I think there are 3 cuttings in this pot. You might see that these cuttings are in pon, and you might also notice that these cuttings are just about to start trailing a little bit. Finally, I will show you a third example. This is my oldest cutting from the mother plant. And you can clearly see that this one has really taken off. It's really starting to trail. And as you might see, it's also in pon, and it's actually in a very small plastic cup that I just bought in a dollar store. This is all for today. Feel free to comment or like this video. I'm always interested in your opinion or experience with this plant. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.